Sorry, you never filmed sharks, did you? I should say that last thing again. And I work for Webpages NKLT. We are a small web agency in Sweden, in Uppsala, and we make websites for big and small companies. And today I'm here with videographer Michael Berner. Hello, Michael.
Hello. Very nice to be here. Thank you for doing this.
Yes, thank you so much for being part of this video. I'm really grateful. So you run a company called broganvideo. And this is in the Bay Area outside San Francisco in sunny California. Mm-hmm. And your website is www.broganvideo.com. So you've been working with videography for about 13 years, and you've been filming small businesses and nonprofit organizations. So right now I'm working on a series to help small companies and medium-sized companies to do digital marketing. So I really wanted to talk to a specialist on video creation. So happy that I got a referral for you through the BNI network, business network. And so today we're going to talk about how to use video for online businesses. And I personally would just say that video has become the #1 way for companies to market themselves online today. How important is video for companies, smaller companies today, in your opinion?
I find it to be one of the most valuable marketing assets used properly. I have yet to find a business that cannot profit from good video use. Whenever you're marketing yourself, you should never say, I'm the business for everybody, but I truly do feel that way. I have yet to meet a particular industry that hasn't had the need. Even when it comes to businesses that have very specific parameters on what they can advertise, like rehab centers or lawyers dealing with very particular issues that have a lot of oversight, video is still tremendously powerful to get out their message.
And you say used in the correct way. I think that's pretty key right there. Because it can also be done in the wrong way, right?
We've all been to a website that has a little video or a couple images on the front page that look like they were done by a young cousin that just kind of followed them to work one day, and it just turns you off. The trick about video is that there is so much of it, and we absorb so much of it daily, that we all kind of have a sixth sense for what's low quality video. Most people will see it and they won't be able to quite put their finger on it, but they'll say, that just doesn't look really good. And that will hurt you.
Yeah. That's interesting, yeah. Now there is the obvious, like traditionally, people have been using commercials to do like an advertisement, like Super Bowl, you make an advertisement and then they sell products and services. But for online marketing, more and more we're seeing more of the personal videos where people introduce the company and the staff that work there. And I really like those. And also vlogging. Can you explain a little bit? You also have the digital video business card. As I understand, it's a little bit like an elevator pitch. Can you explain a little bit about the different types of videos and how companies can think about which one to choose?
Yes. Well, everything, of course, is custom to the business. It's very hard to get. That's one reason I absolutely love it, because it is very unique to the company. A lesson that I've learned, I'm going to go into a quick story here. When I was with my previous company with a college friend out of LA, we were focused on events. And when we had a little giveaway DVD that we would take to event fairs. And it was very cheap, just printed in simple cardboard. And we would hand these out. If you give me a quick moment, I might be able to, yeah, quick and cheap. And we handed these out, Hope Boat Productions. And we got a tremendous response from these. The DVD on just the menu before people hit play on anything, there was me and my friend doing a little, I'm a big guy, he was a little guy, comedy routine, laughing. We had such a tremendous response. When people would watch this, they would call me and they would tell me exactly what package they wanted to buy. They would tell me, they were just excited to meet me. There was a celebrity aspect. It was tremendous. The lesson that I learned, however, was a little tougher, because when I started my own company and started doing my own event fairs, I decided I was going to up the quality. So I made full-size discs. Everything was much better on them. They looked great, and I handed those out, and people were even more like, "Oh, I get to take this home?" But the trick is, before I had the discs printed, I chickened out and I took my own interview off the disc. And I did not receive a single note back from anybody, good or bad, about those discs.
What?
The lesson that I learned from there was, if it's not personal, then it doesn't sell. You could, if you are in the market selling a product and you have a beautiful video showing your product, it's not going to tell me anything about you, why you're selling it to me, and what that means. Now, in larger companies, corporations, of course, they don't want that aspect, but many businesses, 100 employees or less, it really is about the heart of the company. And that number one needs to come out. Absolutely needs to.
I just love, this is what I love about doing these interviews, that I just learn so many incredible things. Like that story that you're telling, like all the stuff that you've been through with your 2 different companies, and you learn this super important lesson. That is just, it's worth so much. And I think that a lot of companies, they don't dare to create videos because they think, oh, it has to be perfect, it has to be this and that. But actually, that it could be something more simple, but that it is personal. This is more important than spending incredible amounts of money on it.
I'm an absolute believer that if I went into any company that had 100 employees or less, and if I talked to the owner of that company, that if I put a camera in there, talk to them for a little while, I could just get them to look into a camera, smile, sit comfortably in their seat, not lean forward so they're choking their diaphragm, and then just say, "Hello, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is why I started the business, this is why I care. Thank you very much." I am a believer that that is going to do more for them than just about anything else in video.
I totally agree, totally. When I was writing the interview questions for you, I realized that I actually really like to watch videos from random companies where they're just like, "Hi, my name is this and that, and I work in this and that." And I just like those companies so much. And I just thought, maybe I'm a little bit crazy to think that, because who does that? Who goes around and watches just random company videos? But yeah, apparently, and it's a thing, because you kind of become friends with them. And that's probably why YouTube has become so huge. Lately, I've been watching all these videos about hair care and so on. And it's really fun. And it's just random women that are just talking about how they do their hair. And I don't know what it is. Do you know why this is so powerful?
And I keep trying to resist getting too deep into YouTube. You know, here's a YouTube personality. But when you watch some videos, and some people are, they're just so good at putting their heart in their voice. And some people who end their videos, whether they're talking about a video game or makeup tips, and they'll just end it with, "I hope you're all doing well, take care of yourself." And it's just like, I love this person. I've never met them, I never will. It's just like,
yeah, totally. Like, oh, they care about me. I feel much better. It's true. It's true. very addictive. But I think it just goes to our being human beings, you know. I really love, you know, Jeff Walker and his product launch formula. You may not know of it, but it's a thing in America that people follow. And his basic thing is just be personal. Be personal. He makes, I mean, so much money. I couldn't even imagine the amounts. But he always wears a T-shirt, and he's like, I'm just gonna be me. I'm just gonna talk me. And it's like, part of me goes like, can that really? Does that really work? But yeah, it works.
It really does. I'll tell you another little personal story for myself. I read a book, The Introvert's Dilemma, and there was a true-false test on there to find out just how introverted or extroverted you are. And if you said yes to 16 or more of these questions, you're pretty darn introverted. I said yes to 19 and a half on one.
That's awesome.
I never really considered myself like that
Mm.
because my family is very extroverted. So I've been spending my whole life trying to keep up with them and being exhausted. And I realized I'm so much better off. I am better off for my clients. I'm better off for my loved ones and my family just by keeping my own energy where it is, not trying to stretch myself too much. And I realized that professionally, it is a huge boon because when people, almost everyone in front of the camera is working themselves up. Oh, why am I getting this wrong? I must be the worst client you've ever had. They all say that. I can just be Mr. No, you're doing just fine. We're just going to get another take and just, I'm the cool one. They can mirror my energy. And I love that environment of a personal, it's like playing pretend with adults. It really is. I'm sitting in a room with another person and we're just talking back and forth. And sometimes it's from a set script. Other times we kind of make it up as we go. It's like, okay, well, how would you want to say that? Well, could you say it like this? Oh, do that one more time. And it's really fun. There's a lot of trust because people need to feel comfortable. Another quick lesson that I've learned is people need to feel comfortable with how they're presented on camera. Because if they're not, no matter how good the quality is, they're not going to share it.
Yeah.
I have met so many people at chamber mixers and the like that had thousands of dollars invested in videos, and they don't share them. They're just uncomfortable with them.
Oh, I see.
And I'm sure you've seen the kind of professional headshots that just don't really match the person's feel.
Yeah.
It's
common.
I know a man who's an 80-year-old Navy man who is just like the sweetest grandfather type I've ever known. And he's got such a wonderful style. I wish you would know him. But I saw a headshot of him and he's just doing this kind of looking over his shoulder. Yeah, it's just like, it's a good pose, but it just doesn't fit him at all.
Oh my God.
So
it's so funny.
People need to feel comfortable with how they're presented. With how they talk. And that's another reason. Anytime I'm doing a video of someone, use your native tongue. If you're from Texas and you want to say, I want all y'all to come in here, it's just like, no. If that's how you talk, please say that. I would never say that, but you please say that. It's you.
I love it. It's so funny. No, it's true. It's interesting because you'd think that people that are, you know, working in video and doing vlogs and so that they would all be extroverts, but I think it's actually quite common for people to be introverted. And all that it really means is that you get more energy from being on your own, but you can seem very outward going. So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding there. But this is also what I've noticed with, even with myself, and I'm totally comfortable doing videos because no interviews. Because in the interviews, I'm talking and I'm interested in hearing what people say. And I find that is the way that is easiest for me to cope with video and being on videos, because otherwise it becomes extremely tense, I think, and difficult. But the actually just talking, it's a great way to actually to become more natural. Yeah.
And it's I could talk about this for days. If you ever do an interview with a group, it's really funny because you get to see all the little defense mechanisms come up. When somebody is no longer confident in what they're saying, they're going to start referring to the other person in the room to defend them or support them, and just little things where it's like, okay, this other person in the room isn't really helping us get into your mind here. So
Interesting.
that's another thing with video. It needs, people can't watch. They just can't. One of the worst things is when I'm working with somebody and their spouse is right next to the camera. Because inevitably, male or female, oh, honey, you don't say it like that. You got to say it a little bit more like this. Oh, honey, remember we're doing this. They will do that every time, every single time. And it's poison.
Hopeless, hopeless.
It drives them crazy. It works them up. It makes it much, much harder. I can show you some of my videos and you can almost see them just kind of looking off camera with just kind of like a,
that's so funny. They're gonna get like in trouble later that night. So, but so you think if there is a company, they're small or medium sized, do you think that it is worth them trying to reach out and do some videos in some format? And if so, where would they start?
find a local videographer, or if you have someone on your team who has an aptitude towards video, enable them. And companies, it's very easy to start doing your own videos. There's YouTube, and most web designers can easily have them hosted on your web page. It is quite easy to do a couple videos, put them on your website, get some feedback, and if you're on track, then just keep doing what you're doing. If you need something with a little bit more production value, hire a local video producer like myself, and we'll come in and we'll up the ante. But I love supporting people in doing videos themselves because that is where you're going to get the most value. If you know how to set up a camera and to how to get somebody to do a testimonial for you, then when you have a client who's just over the moon happy with you, then just say, hey, I have an idea. Could I buy you a cup of coffee? And while we're having that cup of coffee, can I just set up this camera and just get a quick, while you have your energy up like this? And 9 out of 10 times, they're going to say yes. And when you get them with that kind of energy, without calling me in, waiting for a couple weeks like that, that is going to be gold for you. And additionally, the thing that I've learned is if clients like to be educated about the people that they're working with, if you have a weekly vlog where the owner of the company or someone just talks about market changes, what's going on, anything to be aware of, even if it isn't all that substantial, just something so that someone's going through your website and, oh, well, they posted 3 days ago. Click. Okay, they seem to be. That says a lot. Even if you feel that you're not saying anything, it can be tremendous. And putting a video on an email, I've heard from Google, an email is 70% more likely to be opened if it has a video embedded.
Wow.
And people will always want to watch the video. It's one of the best soft sells. If somebody emails you and says, what exactly do you do and how much do you charge? The question everybody gets. Yeah. Well, you just write out your answer and then you just put a video in there and you don't even refer to it. They will naturally want to click it. And if that video is of you and your smiling face, introducing yourself and saying what you do quickly in 30 seconds, they're not going to forget you.
I had no idea that this was such a big deal when you're sending out the video like that. How long should they be approximately?
I kind of do this all by feel. Where is it going to be? Who is it going to go to? What are you trying to communicate? If you're introducing yourself, if it's going to be a video on the landing page of your website, under a minute, under 30 seconds. Go clear and to the point. But if it's deeper in your website, if you have a client that is already engaged with you and they have very specific questions, The video can be as long as it needs to be.
Huh.
That's the other beautiful thing about video. I worked with a mortgage lender who had he was licensed to do a particular kind of loan that was very rare. It's very sexy. It was a lot of money, but he said 8 out of 10 people who called him were pre-disqualified.
Oh.
Because it was a very particular loan. They didn't want it to just go to anybody.
Mm.
So he would be getting calls about this loan every day, and he would have to talk them through it and then find out how many of them the conversation was already dead.
Mm.
He made a video with me, and when somebody emailed him or called him, he would email them the video. It said it freed up 2 hours every day.
Oh, wow. You know, that's an aspect I'd never thought about, that you can actually use the video to save yourself time like that.
You can control your customers' expectations. You can
Mm.
tell them every detail of the time. I'm going through a home refinancing right now, and it's driving me crazy that I don't know what the steps are.
Yeah.
If this man had a video that just kind of explained where kind of things were, and then he just sent me an email, okay, we're in stage 4 right now. Refer to the video to find out where that is. That would make me feel so much better.
Right.
So when it comes to length, quality, what needs to be in there, largely it depends on all the details of what you're trying to get done. Yeah, so to answer your question, it depends.
That's okay. I love that. It's good. It's a fair answer. So return on investment, ROI, for videos, is it high? Would you say it's high?
A lot of what I do locally for small businesses and nonprofits, it's really hard to quantify the exact amount. There might be accountants out there who can say, you know, here's the amount of money that came in after the video and before. I don't have many stats to cover that, but I have so many anecdotal stories about nonprofits and businesses that have had a tremendous rebirth in how they relate to their clients, how they work within their company, because oftentimes videos will be a training tool. They will use it as a communication aid, or someone on the East Coast or West Coast will make a video to communicate with people on the doing the same job on the East Coast. So those kind of anecdotal stories are mostly what I go by, and they just the sky's the limit.
I love it. I love it. Now, I have to mention, actually, I was very surprised that your pricing is incredibly, I think, low. It's $595 for the starting package, and you get in that, what is it you get for that again?
3 hours of shooting time, 5 hours of editing time. I basically do that just because anytime I'm at a networking event, people are like excited. Ooh, video! I'd like to, but they always ask, how much do you charge for? Because they don't know how to ask. So I just say $5.95. That'll pretty much cover you.
It's so good, but that is a fantastic price. I would say first I thought, well, in Sweden I think it's significantly higher, but actually. I used to work in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and I remember one company where I worked, they spent $80,000 on one advertisement video. So there can be a huge, variation, and I think it's so great that with you, you can just get started, and I think that you probably get a lot of clients coming back over and over to you, right?
That is when it becomes most rewarding for me, because the other beautiful thing about video is when people work with me over and over again and I save all the footage, then sometimes people will call me and they'll say, hey, I'm going to do an event and I need an introduction. Could you take the introduction that I recorded here and the testimonial I did here? So it's like filling a box full of Legos. You can just take the pieces apart and put it together in hundreds of different ways without even shooting anything new.
This is so great. So great.
I've spent months working with people on material without shooting anything, just because there's just more and more ways to reconnect and re-edit the footage that's already there.
This is fantastic. It's so great. I was going to ask you about that. What kind of editing software do you use? What can you recommend?
I use Final Cut Pro X.
Okay, okay.
I've been doing this long enough that I've had to use some much older, much more difficult programs. So I am tremendously grateful for the time that I'm in. 20 years ago, I would have needed tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Now, I mean, my camera equipment is still expensive and the computer's expensive, but the software and the capabilities of what I can do now are just, oh, it's just wonderful. Not to mention, my brand new drone, just because my last one ran into a wall that came out of nowhere.
Drones, you had me at drone. Seriously, I mean, it's a fantastic what can be done with them, and they're not expensive. It just takes everything to a new level.
The other thing that I've learned though, and this is kind of fun, I've seen, and you could probably find this pretty easily, a lot of drone videos are just drones. Like, here's a property from above, and above, and above, and above, and above. It's like, when you watch those videos, I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks like, get the camera down to human level. I'm done with seeing it up above. This is an accessory. This should never be seen as the main show.
Yeah.
It's just,
except if you're filming sharks in the water, right?
Even then, if it's above, that would be boring. I'd just be like, come on, get the camera under the water.
Yeah. Actually, it's a good example of what you were just saying, actually, that, you know, you want to see both. You don't want to just see the shark from above. You want to see it close up in the water as well. So, sorry, you never filmed sharks, did you?
I've never filmed sharks. I honestly think that if I ever did, I would probably be shaking too much.
Yeah, just don't do that. Just stick to what you're doing. It's going well. So YouTube, is that the best place to release things?
Vimeo is what I like to refer people to because it doesn't, YouTube will always recommend other videos at the end of a video, and they'll do that regardless of your desires. Whereas Vimeo, you can just post it right there and you can control what video it goes to next, and it's much, much better controlled.
Interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah, the ideal would be to host it on your website.
Oh, okay. That's even better than Vimeo.
Yeah, but YouTube is wonderful because you can send a YouTube link to pretty much anyone around the world and there's not going to be any problem with them watching it. And well, you just can't beat that kind of reliability. It's
true. Yeah, and I also like that it does come up suggestions, so you can kind of get spread in a way, but probably same on Vimeo or similar at least. Now, unfortunately, you're in the US and we're here in Sweden. So the companies that I try to help here, if they go out trying to looking for another videographer in Sweden, what should they look for when they're hiring someone? Are there things they should be like watching out for? Is it some things that can be problematic or?
I'd say the number one would just be temperament. If you're talking to a videographer who seems like they do very good work, but they seem a little too loud, a little too exciting, and they don't seem to be listening to you, don't go with them. Don't follow the money. Don't follow the glamour. Go with somebody that you feel that you can talk to, that you feel is going to listen to everything that's all of your concerns. The trick with video, and I don't know if this is the same way in Sweden, but I'll hazard a guess that it is. With photography, there's a very healthy gender balance. There's quite a few women to men, but with video, it's about 95% guys. And I really think that makes a lot of, especially female entrepreneurs, a little nervous about doing video because you'll have these guys who are either like he's like, I'm going for the corporate jobs. I'm doing the big thing. Or some guys who are kind of like the rock stars who, yeah, I'm out there and I'm shooting sports and I'm shooting sharks and all this.
Right.
So I really feel that you should try to find someone who you think is just meets your energy, your way of looking at things, and follow by that.
Yeah, and you work a lot with non-profit organizations too, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
It's I'm a soft heart, and it just every time I work with a nonprofit, it just makes me feel just so good. Nonprofits, on the cold and calculating side, it's actually a really good choice for me because everyone working in a nonprofit almost always have an other 9-to-5 job, and they usually network incredibly well. So when you work with a nonprofit and you really impress them and you really give them the impression that you're a reliable person, then they could be sending your card out all over to places you couldn't even think of. They are connected to totally different networks. And if you work with a business, they'll probably say, we'd like to work with you again. But nonprofits, it could be anywhere. That's the really fun part. When working with nonprofits just on the heart side, it just makes me feel so good every time because every one of them has a story that they want to tell. They really want to get it out, and they're usually, it just feels wonderful. Working with people who make meals for cancer patients, working with rehab clinic, working with, so many. They just wonderful people who care a lot. And when they tell their story and the why, that's the real one. It's not about exactly what they're doing, but why, because almost every member has a child who is suffering, someone else in their family, and it just makes the world brighter when you work with them. Well, those people are usually working 2 jobs. They're usually doing their 9-to-5. They often have their own families, and then they're doing the nonprofit on the side. It's just, if they're working that hard, they definitely have their own heart into it.
Yep. No, it's important, very important.
Would you allow me one other quick story?
Please.
I worked with a garden here in my hometown called Sunflower Hill that took an old ranch and made it into this beautiful garden and brought in children with mental handicaps. And a lot of families who were taking care of their adult children whom couldn't take care of themselves, they would go to this garden during the day, and they would have chores, they'd have responsibilities, and it would be a great way. And this garden found ways to be profitable. They would sell the produce, they would put these people out there, they would train people to internally in order to work on the garden itself. So it's growing, it's fantastic. They're building communities to help support this.
I love it. I want to go.
Yeah. There was one day when I needed to interview a few people, and there was one boy who had a severe case of autism, and they asked if he wanted to be interviewed, and he said he'd be interviewed, but only if it was just me. He didn't want anyone else around. And I'm not going to ask. So I just did the interview real quick and just went about my day, didn't ask anything about it. But his mother told me a few weeks later when she saw me that he had told her that he wanted to talk to me because he felt that he could trust me. And I hadn't had any interaction with this young man. So I'm not sure why he thought that, but
I love it. Oh,
because a young man with autism is not going to fake that. If you intimidate him, he is not going to.
That's the best. In Sweden we say great, but it's the best feedback you can ever get. Wow.
That just that deeply touch me.
Yeah, I understand. So honest, so honest. I love it. Wow. Well, I thank you so much. This has been such an interesting and fun and meaningful interview, I think. And I really hope it will help other people as well when they go out and try to jump into the video world, like I've recently done myself. And I just find it so important, you know, but to do it in the right way. I think it's important to find good people like you that can help out.
I would,
Well,
if I may give one last tip, I would
yes.
say if for anyone who wants to do their own videos, I would say find someone to be accountable to.
Okay.
So if
Mm.
you wanted to do your own videos, I obviously cannot easily fly to where you are and help film that. I would love to, but not this week.
No.
I would say find someone or even me that you could be accountable to. If you recorded your own videos, show them to me because you can't trust yourself. You're going to look at them and you're going to say, oh, this isn't doing. You need to send them to somebody else who will say, oh, this one you're actually very good. But in this other video, you're not really getting to the facts. You might want to redo that one. You can educate yourself on how to do videos quite easily. You can easily do it with your own equipment or even just a webcam. But if you had a friend, someone that you trust who can just kind of proofread with you, so you're not just turning your own wheels going, oh, I don't know about this, because that's what's going to kill it.
So that's actually, it would be possible for clients in Sweden to work with you. If they film it in Sweden, they could send it to you. You could even edit it for them and give them a finished product, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have done that during this quarantine. I've had people film themselves, send me the footage, and I put it together. And I am happy to do the challenge anytime where if somebody sends me a photo, I'll say, I can improve that photo. You know, little photo editing. And I'll send it to you. Here's the original. Here's my version. Do you think that I improved it? And I win every time.
I believe you. This is fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And this is also a great way to show how Business Network International really works, that you and I got to know each other just from the network. It's quite amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. This was an absolute treat.
It really was. Thank you so much, you too. Thanks. Have a good one.